Hello everyone. In this session we will be discussing about phylogenetic tree analysis. Before getting into the topic, let me discuss about what is a phylogenetic tree. So you can think phylogenetic tree has a diagram from which we can get evolutionary relationships among organisms or within a group of organisms. So it is actually like a map from which you can read about the evolutionary history of organisms. In the case of some phylogenetic trees, they will be rooted, others will be unrooted. So there are two types, that is rooted trees and unrooted trees. In the case of rooted trees, there will be a common ancestor or a common lineage from which all other organisms are thought to be evolved. But in the case of unrooted tree, there will not be any common ancestor. Now if you take a rooted tree, there is a branching that is indicating evolutionary relationships, and this split, I will show you a rooted tree. So this is a rooted tree. So they split from where the branching has occurred, that is called the branch point. So here you can see a branch point, here you can see a branch point, and there are three branch points over here. So from which a lineage is thought to have evolved is called this branch point, that is at split point. And the lineage that is have evolved earlier in the evolution, or the lineage which is close to the root of the tree, is called a basal taxon. Likewise, if there are two lineages from a single branch point, that is called a sister taxa. So here there are two lineages from a single branch point, so it is called sister taxa. If there are more than two lineages from a single branch point, it is called as a polytomy. So that is all about the trees. So you can use this phylogenetic diagrams as a pathway to understand the evolutionary history. You can trace back to the common ancestor, or you can discover how a species was evolved, and etc. And you can also use this to study a group of organisms. Then another point that we have to mention here is that a phylogenetic tree, you can rotate the branch points, but the information or the evolutionary history will not be changed. So if you rotate a tree, the information remains same, but the positions may have changed, but the information will remain the same. Here you can see the example of a rooted tree and a unrooted tree. So rooted trees are having a root or an ancestor from which the others have evolved. But in the case of an unrooted tree, we have to get a common ancestor, or you have to get a root for studying the tree further. So there are many methods to root an unrooted tree. It can be by outgroup method or by midpoint or a distance method. So in the outgroup method, what we are doing is that we'll use a outgroup or a taxa that is known to fall outside of the group of interest. That is, we'll use an outgroup that is known to fall outside of the in group. Okay, so we'll use an outgroup. So here you can see this bird is the outgroup. Okay. So this outgroup can either be a species. So in the case here, you can use a bird to root a mammalian tree, like in the example shown here, or it can be previous gene duplicates. For example, alpha globulins to root beta globulins. So by an outgroup method, you can root the unrooted trees. Now the other method is by midpoint or distance method. Here you will grab a point between two taxas and you will pull it down, as shown over here. Okay, you can grab any point between two taxas, and you can grab that point down. Then you can root that unrooted tree. So that point where you have grabbed down, or you have taken down, that point will serve as the root. So this point can be a midpoint between two of the most distinct taxa, and there is an equation to identify that. So here you have to first select two distinct taxa. So here you can say A and D is a two distinct, very distinctly related groups. Okay, and then you have to count all the branch length. So here 10 plus 3 plus 5 till, that is from A to D, you have to count all the branch length. Okay, so here it is 10 plus 3 plus 5, so that is 18, and then you have to calculate the midpoint of 18, that will be 18 by 2, and that is 9. So you'll have to take 9 over here, so 9 will fall somewhere over here, and then you will grab that down. So that is the method. So this midpoint, they can fall anywhere, right? They can if you take in the above example, you can actually root this tree in 5 different ways. So a single unrooted tree can be rooted in 5 different places. So if there are more than, like this is a very small tree or a very small taxas are there, here there are only 4 taxas. But if there are more than 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 taxas and all, you will have different combinations of a rooted tree. So in that case it will be difficult to root that tree, because there will be so many combinations. So we will use there are different methods for building tree in that cases. So we will discuss some tree building methods. So basically there are 2 different methods to build a tree. The first one is a phonetic method, and that is based on distances. The other one is cladistic method, and that is based on characters. So in the case of distance method or phonetic methods, they use pairwise distance or dissimilarity between 2 genes. So the actual size of which depends on the different definitions and constructs the tree totally from resultant distance matrix. So in the case of distance method, we will actually make a distance matrix, and based on the distance matrix we will be building the trees. But in the case of cladistic methods, all possible trees will be made, and we will seek for the one that optimizes the evolution. So it is actually a kind of a heuristic method, because all possible trees will be made, and we will take that one tree that is optimizing the evolution. So in the phylogenetic analysis, you can actually classify them into computational methods and the type of data used. In the computational methods, there are again 2 categories, that is optimality criterion and clustering algorithm. Under optimality criterion, you are having parsimony method, maximum likelihood method, minimum evolution method, and least square methods. Under clustering algorithm, you are having UPGMA method and neighbor joining method. And the type of data used, they can be either distances or characters. Based on distances, we have minimum evolution, least squares, UPGMA, neighbor joining. All these are based on distances, and parsimony and maximum likelihood are based on characters. So in a distance method, what we are using, the data is actually will transform the sequence data into pairwise distances or dissimilarity, and then we will use this matrix during tree building. Like this, we will create a matrix, distance matrix, and then we will create a tree. But in the case of character based method, we'll use aligned characters, like we'll align DNA or we'll align protein sequences, and then we'll directly use them in tree building methods. So we will be discussing here distance matrix method, and we will be discussing in depth about neighbor joining method. The distance matrix method was introduced by Cavalli, Sforza and Edwards, and by Fish and Margoliouth in 1967. They were influenced by the clustering algorithm of Sokal and Sneath. So the general idea of this distance matrix method is to measure the distance between each pair of species, and then find a tree that predicts the observed set of distances as closely as possible. So in this case, it will leave out all information from higher order combinations of character states, and it will reduce the data matrix to a simple table of pairwise distances. So you would think that this must leave out so many of the subtitles of the data, and that it could not possibly do a reasonable job of making an estimate of the phylogeny. So that is a disadvantage of distance matrix method. So the distance matrix method will be having a observed table or a matrix of distances, that is DI, and any particular tree that has branch lengths leads to a predicted set of distances, and we will note that as Dij. So the distance is actually predicted by adding up the branch length between two species. So if you add the branch length between two species, you will get the distance of that particular between that particular species, and then you will calculate the distance between another two species. Likewise you will make a matrix. So in the case of least square method, we will use this formula to calculate the distances between two species. So it is actually sigma n2 i is equal to 1, sigma n2 j is equal to 1, wij into dij minus dij the whole square. So dij is actually the branch length, that is small letter dij is the branch length, and capital letter dij is the distances. This wij are weights that differ between different least square methods. So actually what we have to do, you have to minimize the q, that is we have to minimize the least square. So we are searching for a tree topology and the branch length that minimize the q. So for any given tree topology, it is possible to solve for the branch length that minimize q by the standard least square method. So you'll understand it by this example. So what it is, you are given a unrooted tree and you are given the branch length. Now what you have to do, you have to make a distance matrix based on these branch length. So you'll first you will write A, B, C, D, E on both the horizontal and vertically. You have to write A, B, C, D, E, and then you have to count. Like if it is A to A, it is 0 because the distance is 0. If it is from B to A, you have to count from B to A. That is 0.08 plus 0.05 plus 0.10, like that you have to count and find out the distance. From B to B it will be 0, likewise from C to C it will be 0. So you will get diagonally 0, and rest all will be the distances that you have counted. Next we will discuss minimum evolution method. In the minimum evolution method, we use a criterion, that is the total branch length of the tree of the reconstructed tree. So here you will use the total branch length of the reconstructed tree. Here the branch length will be determined by unweighted least square method. So first we will determine the least square trees, and then we will choose the one that is having shortest total length. So that is how the minimum evolution method is done. So here you will partially make use of the least square criterion, and so it is actually using two criteria at the same time. So one is for choosing the branch length, that we will be choosing the shortest total length, and another is the choosing of the tree topology. So that is the minimum evolution method. The other distance matrix method is clustering algorithm. Under clustering algorithm, you are having UPGMA method and a Napier joining method. So here what you are doing is you are applying a particular algorithm to a distance matrix, and that will come up with the tree more directly. So this is actually a little bit more faster than the other two methods, because there you have to go for the least square calculation and all, but here you are applying a particular algorithm to this distance matrix, and then we will directly get the tree. But here the disadvantage is that we are not sure that the distance information is being used fully, and we are not sure what are the statistical properties of the method. So that is the disadvantage. The first one is the UPGMA method. It is actually the short form of unweighted pair group method with arithmetic mean. So that is UPGMA full form. It was originally developed for the numeric taxonomy in 1958 by Sokal and Michener. It is the simplest algorithm for tree constructions, and it is really fast. Here we are assuming a molecular clock. That is, we are assuming the evolutionary rate is approximately constant, and this clustering works only if the data is ultrametric. Now we will discuss Neighbor joining method. This neighbor joining method was introduced by Saito and Nee, and it is a method that is related to the cluster method, but does not require the data to be ultrametric. In the case of UPGMA, you need the data to be ultrametric. Here you don't need the data to be ultrametric. Ultrametric means all lineages have diverged by equal amounts. So in the neighbor joining method, you don't need all lineages to be diverged by equal amounts. So the method is especially suited for the data sets comprising lineages with largely varying rates of evolution. And this is used in combination with methods that allow correction of superimposed substitutions. And there are so many programs that is available for doing neighbor joining method. The first one is Neighbor of Philip package. The next one is Clustal W. Then distance in the Protomol package, and there are so many other things or other programs that is available. Neighbor joining method is a special case of star decomposition method. So in the contrast to the cluster analysis, neighbor joining method keeps track of the nodes on a tree rather than taxa or clusters of the taxa. You'll actually provide a row data, and that row data is provided as distance matrix, and from that distance matrix an initial star tree is made. Then a modified distance matrix is constructed, and in that the separation between each pair of nodes is adjusted on the basis of their average divergence from all the other nodes. Then the tree is constructed by linking the least distant pair of nodes in this modified matrix. So first you will be having a distance matrix, and you will have an initial star tree to begin with, and then you will modify this distance matrix, and actually this modification is based on the separation between each pair of nodes is adjusted on the basis of their average divergence from all the other nodes, and then you will construct another tree that is based on this modified matrix. And when two nodes are linked in this tree, their common ancestor node is added to the tree, and the terminal nodes with their respective branches are removed from the tree. Okay, so when you will understand it when you are doing an example. So when two nodes are linked, their common ancestor node is added, and then the terminal nodes will be deleted. And this pruning process will convert the newly added common ancestor into a terminal node on a tree of reduced size. So we will be doing this repeatedly. That is, you will be connecting two nodes, and then their common ancestor will be made, and then you will delete their terminal nodes. That is how you are doing this method. At each stage in the process, two terminal nodes are replaced by one new node. This process is complete when two nodes remain, and these two nodes are separated by a single branch. In the neighbor joining algorithm, it represents the data in the form of an additive tree. So it can assign a negative length to the branch. Here the interpretation of the branch lengths has an estimated number of substitutions gets into difficulties. So when this occurs, it is advised to set the branch length to 0 and transfer the difference to the adjacent branch length, so that the total distance between an adjacent pair of the terminal nodes remain unaffected. But this will not affect the overall topology of the tree. Now we will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of the neighbor joining method. Advantages are it is very fast and it is suited for large data steps and for bootstrap analysis, and this will permit lineages with largely different branch length, and it will also permit corrections for multiple substitutions. And it is also suitable to handle a large data set that has led to the fact that the method is widely used in molecular evolutionist. And this rapid growth of sequence database, it is still one of the few methods that allow the rapid inclusion of all homologous sequences present in the database in a single tree. So you can actually a good example for this is the ribosomal database project, and it maintains a tree of life based on all available ribosomal RNA sequences. Now we'll see the disadvantages. Here the sequence information will be reduced, and it will only give one possible tree. There will not be many possible trees that you are going to choose from, and it is strongly dependent on the model of evolution used. In the next video we will discuss an example so we'll understand it better.